Welcome to the third section in our series on vitamins. And this section is going to be on vitamin E. We're going to start with the function of vitamin E. And although it has a few functions, its main function that I want you to know is as an antioxidant. Now, we reviewed antioxidants at the beginning of the course, but just for review. Let's take a look at this diagram here, and what it's representing is this here as a free radical causing destruction and essentially a chain reaction. Now remember, free radicals are very unstable and they want to bind to something, and they can bind to DNA, they can bind to cell membranes and then cause damage. If that damage continues, and we think of this same thing, this domino effect right here, then it can lead to chronic disease. The goal with any antioxidant is to basically block progression of the free radical damage, and it does this by quenching the free radical, or think about it neutralizing the free radical. If it can stabilize it, then that free radical won't want to bind to structures that we don't want it to bind to. So vitamin E is an antioxidant, quenches free radicals, which protects cellular structures from oxidative damage. And oxidative damage is the damage that occurs from free radicals. So where do you find vitamin E? Well, there are a lot of sources, but we tend to think about vitamin E as coming from sunflower seeds, almonds, and they can be in other seeds and nuts as well, just not in as high of a source, spinach, and then avocado. And I want to point out, aside from the spinach, you can see the avocado, almonds, and sunflowers, they have a lot of fat in them. And remember, we're still on fat-soluble vitamins. So when you're obtaining a fat-soluble vitamin, in nature is in general going to occur with some type of fat, and that's going to assist in absorption, from the digestive tract into the bloodstream. So vitamin E, fat-soluble vitamin, you need fat for absorption. And here are a few sources. Now, what about vitamin E deficiency? We generally don't see vitamin E deficiency. It's not that common. So again, it's rare, but you can see a loss of muscle coordination and reflexes. There can be impaired vision and speech. In infants, that is something called erythrocyte hemolysis. And when that means, erythrocyte is a red blood cell, and hemolysis basically means that it's breaking apart. You can think of it almost like it's exploding. So the membrane can't hold the cell together. When that happens, it's just going to fall apart. So that can happen in infants. Again, it's not that common. That's not something that you generally see in adults. And then, because vitamin E is an antioxidant, low levels of it, not necessarily deficiency, can lead to chronic disease. Now, what about vitamin E toxicity? Again, from food, you're not going to see it. You're not going to eat so many almonds that are in sunflower seeds that you end up with vitamin E toxicity. But there are a lot of people who supplement with vitamin E. And what's really interesting is that studies have shown, and recent studies have shown, that vitamin E supplements actually are associated with increased mortality risk. And it's because when this was studied, first recognized that vitamin E is an antioxidant and vitamin E might reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease. The idea is to supplement with vitamin E to see if it reduces the risk of cardiovascular disease. Instead, what they found is that it actually increased mortality in healthy patients. So it is recommended not to supplement with vitamin E. And if you're taking a multivitamin, you need to be careful and make sure that it doesn't have a very high dose of vitamin E. And that's the end of our discussion on vitamin E.